Today I'm going to talk about a classic game, one of the top games on Board Game Geek that I actually just played for the first time recently. Before I get there, I wanted to give a quick shout out to Denny over at Kingdom Lawn Game for sending me this nice t-shirt. I love gray t-shirts, so this is really, really nice. Thank you, Denny, for doing that. But the game I'm going to talk about today is Twilight Struggle, a two-player Cold War themed game. And like I said, it's one of the top board games on Board Game Geek. And I've never had the chance to play it, but recently I did get the chance to play it. I got trounced in about 45 minutes. I lost the game, even though I thought I was doing okay, but I just got destroyed. But I had a great time, and I came away with a really high appreciation for the mechanisms in this game. There's a lot of clever stuff going on. I'm just going to focus on my favorite mechanism, which has to do with the way the cards work. The game is largely card-driven in that on your turn, you will most likely take one of the cards from your hand and you'll play it for either the event on the card or for the operation point value. And you can do different things with the operation points. They can affect what you're doing on the board, mostly things on the board, different things you can do on the board. And more points are better. If you have more points, you can do more things on the board. Now, the really clever thing here, actually it's all kind of tied together, but one thing I should mention is that when you play a card for the operation points, if those operation points are in your color, so there are some points that can be used by either player, others can only be used by you. If you use it for those points, and the event is an event for the opponent, the event triggers anyway, even though you're not playing it for the event. And so if you, and the cards are created so that a lot of the cards that have high point values for the US are the same cards that have an event for Russia and vice versa. So a lot of your decision making is, do I want to play this card that gives me a lot of points that I can use to improve my game state, but the event's going to help my opponent. And often it's not a question of do I play this card, but it's a question of when do I play this card. It's all about timing in the game, which fits very well with the Cold War theme. Now, my favorite mechanism within this mechanism is that there's only one. Essentially, there's only one deck of cards in the game. The deck is divided into different segments, so like the first third, the second third, the last third of the game. But essentially, both players are just drawing from the same deck of cards. And this is where I think the game is just brilliant, because the designers could have designed two separate decks of cards, one for the US, one for Russia. But no, they designed one deck of cards that gives you interesting choices within those cards as to when you play them, as I just described. This really caught me off guard in the game because people described it as an asymmetric game, and it is a very asymmetric game, but it was just amazing to me that we were drawing from the same deck of cards in such an asymmetric thematic game and using those cards in very different ways. I thought that was brilliant. The designers came up with a way to let both players use the same deck of cards in such an interesting way. And it all comes down to that point system, how the points that are good for you and the highest number of points that are good for you trigger events that are good for the opponent. That is just, it's a brilliant mechanism. And I don't think I've seen it in another game, which is weird. There was a game called The Agents that came out a while ago that had a system where you could play the card either to give yourself points or to use an ability, and whichever one you didn't do gave the opponent the other thing. That's kind of in line with this. So there probably are other games that use this system, and I'd love to hear about it in the comments if you have a game that you love that uses this system of a shared deck where the cards do very different things for each of the players, or give players at least different choices for those cards. Or you can share your favorite mechanism in Twilight Struggle, because I'm sure that I am one of the few game designers who had not played it until recently. I'd love to hear your thoughts about it in the comments. That is Twilight Struggle, and I look forward to hearing your thoughts. Thanks.